Like, should I relax or should I lock in?
Playing middle as a college athlete, I would say, like, the roar of the audience, the best feeling ever.
My faith is everything. It makes me who I am. And I wish that you could talk smack on the golf course. Like, that'd make it so much more fun.
I had some, like, decision paralysis. Should I sleep or should I do the schoolwork?
There's momentum goes both ways, right? So if you start winning a lot, that momentum is positive. If you start losing a lot, get that losing momentum. And we just got to find a way to overcome that.
Let's be great today, Lions.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Live Tap Podcast. I'm your host, Damian Traylor, and today I have Coach Greg Neeley tapping in with me. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
It's an early Tuesday, I'm not going to lie. Just got out of class, but I'm happy to be here to interview you, so thank you for taking time out
Yeah,
today.
no doubt.
Now, the first thing before we start, Coach, I want to know, where are you from, what sport do you coach, and how long have you been coaching here at Piedmont?
Yeah, so I coach men's basketball here at Piedmont. I've just finished my 12th year here. My first college job was actually an assistant here at Piedmont. So that was my first college job. I did that for 3 years. Then I left, was a head coach 2 other places, and then got the opportunity to come back and have been here ever since. So, but I grew up in Indiana, which is, you've seen the movie Hoosiers, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Cornfield, flat, all basketball, nothing else to do. And a great atmosphere to grow up if you love basketball. So, but my wife is from Georgia. We have family in Georgia now too, so don't miss the snow for a minute, you know? It's nice to be out of that, that's for sure.
My next question is, Coach, you kind of go more in depth about, your journey here and how you became Piedmont men's head coach, because I know you also coached at Warren Wilson before you got here.
Yeah, so like I said, my first college job was here at Piedmont, and I just loved it. Loved the family atmosphere. The campus was a lot different then. We didn't have the commons. We didn't have some of the dorms that we had. Now Purcell was still here, so Purcell's going to be here forever. But some of those other things that have really gotten better since my first time here. But Lee Glenn was the head coach at the time and gave me my first opportunity in college athletics, and I'm forever grateful to him for that. Had a great experience here. But as we know, it's really hard to get a head coaching opportunity, and I was fortunate to get one of those at a junior college back up in Indiana. So did that for 2 years and just gained such respect for junior college coaches. It's hard, right? Like for us at Piedmont, we're recruiting guys every year. And then just, hopefully our seniors graduate and they get jobs and do what they need to do. Well, in the junior college level, you got to come in both ends, right? Like you've got to recruit your team and then you've got to place your team at 4-year colleges. And so to be able to do that and it's always turning over your roster, you don't have juniors and seniors to help, it was a unique experience and a really good learning experience for a young coach. And I just got tremendous respect for the junior college level after having done that a couple of times. But was up there for 2 years and then got the chance to go be the head coach at Warren Wilson, which got me farther to the south and got me to a 4-year school. The plan was never to do that for 1 year, but did it for 1 year. And then Piedmont called and asked me if I would come back and be the head coach. And so you don't get to control the timing of opportunities, and it was tough because we had a really good year at Warren Wilson, had a good team, and to leave those guys was really hard. But the Piedmont job doesn't open very often, and to have the chance to quote, come home was something I couldn't turn down, and I'm forever grateful to have the chance to be the coach here.
Yeah, speaking of you being at Warren Wilson, you had one of the most winningest seasons in basketball history at Warren Wilson, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the episode. But Coach, my next question for you is actually, with all the responsibilities you have, do you ever struggle with time management?
Not really, I think, because what's cool about this job is that every day is different, right? Like you're working with people, you get to work with young people who have energy and are enthusiastic and are excited about what they're doing. So I think the hardest thing is that you're never off, right? When you look at this job, so like, I could be on vacation with my family at the beach, and I still need to have my phone near me, right? Like things happen and things come up, whether it's with recruiting or our current roster, or there's an academic issue, or something happens to the gym floor. There's just stuff that happens. And so I think that's the big thing about, being a coach as compared to, I was an accounting major back in college, right? Like, so, you think you're gonna be an accountant, you're gonna work 9 to 5 and be done. Right. That's not the case in coaching, but the perks that come with this and the opportunity to impact people far outweighs, what that schedule is like.
Oh, okay, cool. I just wanted to ask that because literally everybody, even like when I interviewed Danielle last week, she kind of talked about like time management could kind of be a little shaky for her with her job, and I was just interested in asking you that question.
No, that's a good question. And it's different, right? Like some mornings, you've got stuff earlier, and other days, you might be here till 10 o'clock at night, right? Like it varies. But I mean, to be able to work in athletics and work with young people, it's worth it for sure.
All right. On to sports questions, though. This is my first question for you. When did you fall in love with the sport of basketball?
That's a great question. I talked to our guys about it. So, I just think basketball is the greatest sport, and obviously I'm biased, but it's a sport where team is over individual. You can walk in every night thinking that, like, at this collective group of 5 players that are out on the court, if we can play better together, we can beat an individual. And you've got to be able to do everything in this sport, right? Like, it's not like football where you just play offense or defense, unless you're the kid from Colorado who can do everything, right?
Yeah,
like,
Travis
Hunter, yeah. But everybody else, you do one or the other. Baseball, you pitch or you hit, right? Like, tennis is a team sport, right? But you're only playing your individual. And in our sport, I mean, it's just, you have to do everything or you can get exposed, right? Like, to be good, you have to be able to play offense and defense. You got to be able to pass and dribble. And, it's just, I think the opportunity to know every single night you play, you have a chance to win, whether we're playing a Division I team or whoever, you also could get beat any single night. And, it's just, I love our sport and what it represents, how it takes people from, for us, different states, and they have different backgrounds, and they've grown up differently, and they're different majors and all that, but they bond through basketball, and it helps bring them together, and they put all those things aside to try to be the best possible team they can be. And that's really cool. And that's all of sports, but I think it especially is in basketball.
Yeah. I'm really interested to know, like, what made you want to be a coach, or who got you into coaching?
So I guess I was an accounting major, right? So you don't go be an accounting major and think you're going to be a coach. And, but you get deeper into it, and, just something kind of lays on your heart, and maybe it's a God thing or whatever, where it's just like, I wanted to have a chance to try to impact other people. My mom was a kindergarten teacher. And so just to see her former students come back and be like, thank you for what you did for me, or you had impact on my life or whatever. And basketball is just a tool to be able to do that. I didn't know much else, right? Basketball, pretty decent in academics, but you're like, what are you going to be able to use to do that? And just thought, hey, like, let's give this thing a try and see. And I still remember telling my family, I want to be a coach. And they're like, well, why did we just spend all this time taking accounting classes, right? But doors open for a reason, and to have that opportunity. There's the old Billy Graham quote that says a coach has a chance to impact more people in 1 year than most people will have in their entire life. And that's not something we take lightly. And that's something that matters a lot. And just the opportunity to have impact is really something special. And you feel very blessed to try to do that.
Yeah, because honestly, from what I read and what I've seen, since I've been here, you've been a great coach. I know a lot of players on the team, and they always speak highly of you. So I just want to know what made you want to start being a coach to begin with. But my next question for you is, Coach, what are the difficulties being a head coach of a program that most people probably don't know?
That's a good question. I think it's you never turn it off. Coach Scally and I talk about this a lot in the more like you don't turn it off, right? Like, you're always thinking about it. You're mowing the grass, you're thinking about it. You're taking a shower, you're thinking about what defense we're going to run, right? Like, how can I get this guy to try to do more? Or you're always thinking about those team dynamics. And it's hard. And I give so much credit to our guys and our players, because I know how badly they all want to have a greater role and how much they want to play more and do all those things. And as the head coach, you have to make those tough decisions, and decisions that necessarily they're not going to agree with or whatever, but you have to put the team above all else. And so that is tough decisions on who plays, or maybe it's consequences for actions that aren't becoming of the team, or whatever that is. And so, people always tell you when you take the jump from assistant to head coach, like, moving one chair over is a huge jump. And I think you take that for granted until you actually do it, where you're not making suggestions anymore, you're making the decisions, right? But there's also the satisfaction that comes with that, and knowing that, hey, like, we're trying to take this thing forward. We're trying to represent the school right. We want to see guys grow and develop. And there's so much, there's not much better than seeing guys mature and grow. And when you think of a player as a freshman to where they are as a senior and being a successful adult, and knowing maybe we played a small role in that, but just to see that growth and development, there's not much more satisfying than that.
Coach, you first started coaching at Warren Wilson, like we talked about a little bit earlier, where you led the Owls to one of their best seasons winning-wise since you've been here at Piedmont. 7 out of the past 12 seasons, you've had over a 500 record or better. Where does your winning coaching style come from?
We want to win more here at Piedmont too.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. I feel like we're close and we're knocking on that door, but we are not going to sacrifice what we want this to be about, right? And I feel like that's easy to do in the current climate of college athletics. We want to be the best academic team. We want to have the best character guys. I feel like our school's the best academic institution in our conference, and that needs to be reflective in our basketball program. So we don't want to just take some transfer knucklehead to win more games. Like, we want guys that will represent this place right. And so I feel like we're trending in the right direction and doing what we want to do. Basketball, the margins are so thin. I know we're going to talk about this season later on, but you play so many games that come right down to the wire. And if you win those close ones, it'll make your season. If you lose them, it'll break your season. And it's that tight and that close. It's so much is about the players. We're just here to try to help support them, encourage them, and set them up to be successful. You mentioned the Warren Wilson season. What a great group of guys. I mean, I took that job late in the summer. They could have thrown me out and not listened at all, and they were completely bought in and player-led. They worked hard every day, and just, were so bought into what we were trying to do. I get goosebumps talking about it. It was just awesome experience. And then I look back on the good teams we've had here. It's been the same thing. It has nothing to do with us as coaches or staff. It is player-led. They're bought in. They care about it. They pay attention to details. They hold each other accountable. And that makes all the difference. And so that's what we're striving for every year to do here, and to empower these guys to lead and go get what they want. We get to run it back, right? As long as we're coaching, we get to run it back. They don't. They get a finite amount of time in this locker room. And our goal is to just do everything we can to help them not waste any of that time, and give them a chance to succeed the best we can. And so, but yeah, it's all about the players and their commitment to our program and doing what they know is right.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of this past season, it wasn't exactly what we were hoping for to turn out. But you and the team started out the season hot, actually, winning your first 5 of your first 6 games. But the season somewhat dipped as it went along, finishing 11-15. What would you say were the causes to this season not turning out in you and the team's favor?
Momentum's a crazy thing, We had a lot of new guys. We graduated a lot of guys from the previous year, and we started well. We started playing well, and we had that momentum. We came back after Christmas, won the holiday tournament at Washington and Lee. First time Piedmont's beaten an ODAC, and as long as we could find. And so we had that momentum, and then we lost a couple of close games at the buzzer, some tough ones, and we really struggled to get that momentum back. And we talked about how tight games are in college basketball. And we had opportunities to win games. We got buzzer beat twice at home here, up 2. Not even buzzer beat twice.
I was there for both of them. That was crazy. And so it's hard, right? And so we were good enough to compete and not great enough to go win those games at the end. And that's the next step for us. But we felt like we could win every game we played. And the guys, to their credit, we could have faded all the way, losing those close games. It's a fragile thing, right? And the guys did not bail on it. They stayed tuned in. They kept working. And we gave ourselves a chance. We made the conference tournament. Huntington ended up winning the conference tournament, and we led that game for 30 of the 40 minutes. We led by 6 with 3 to go, and we were right there. And so I think it's a credit to the guys in this locker room to not quit on that, and they kept fighting, and we were close, and we were right there. And so I think the next step for us going forward is to now not just compete in those games, but to go win those games, and not just win them by 2, but try to go win them by 10, right? And that's cleaning up some details. And we had a lot of guys in different roles this year too, that had increased their roles, and we had some newcomers and that kind of stuff. And so, I expect us to be much more settled in and to take those next steps. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of returning players coming back this year. So, I mean, it's not too many people leave. I want to say Griffin and Bailey was?
Griffin and Bailey, and then Zach Exley, who came off the bench for us, will be the 3 that are leaving. But we're anticipating everybody coming back, which in the current climate of college basketball, even in our league, we're seeing it some. That should be advantage Piedmont for sure.
Yeah, for sure, because that transfer portal is wild. Even if it's I just looked at the transfer portal a couple of days ago, and a guard from North Carolina, Elliot Cadeau, he transferred to Michigan not even a week and a half later decommitted from North Carolina. So that was crazy.
It's, we don't do a lot of transfers, but you mentioned time management and stuff. Well, one thing that we do every day is check that transfer portal, because you just never know, right? And most of the transfers that we have gotten here are guys that we had some connection with. Maybe we recruited them in high school, or there was a connection to a coach or something like that. We don't take many randoms, but you just don't. in the current age, like you're thinking, well, there's nobody like that would be in the portal. And then you pull the transfer portal and you're like, wow, we actually know that kid. Why is he leaving? Like, there's a lot of that. And I don't think we're doing our job if we don't at least investigate that, right? And figure out what's the reason maybe it could be a good fit. But you talk about, like you mentioned, the Division I and some of that stuff. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy times right now.
You know what? Actually, now I'm thinking about it. This isn't the question I actually had in the questions, but I actually want to ask you now. Do you think the transfer portal has been more beneficial or not to not even just you as a coach, but just overall in NCAA?
I think it's so I think there's two parts to it. I think the like quality of individual basketball players has increased in college basketball because guys aren't necessarily hunting to go pro as fast as they were. Right. You can make more money staying in college, right, at the Division I level. And so I think the individual players are better. I think the cohesiveness is worse. I think it's harder. I think it's good for players to be able to leave if they feel like they need to leave. I feel like it's hard. I mean, it's no different than any other profession, right? Like if somebody gives you a better opportunity, you probably are going to take that, right? Like it's so I felt like it wasn't necessarily fair to hamstring student athletes and make them different than something else. But I do think our overall product of college basketball, it has hurt that. Yeah. Coach Martin and I, who's our tennis coach, is a big Georgia fan, right? He and I were talking about this literally yesterday. He's like, I just learned the Georgia team, and now they're all in the transfer portal. And so it's like, it's hard to be a fan of a program when you can't keep up with the roster. Yeah. I think it's hard to build cohesiveness when your roster's changing all the time too. And it's pushing everything later. The one thing I worry about is, as somebody, we care about academics. It's like, how's that if you transfer 2 different places? How does that impact your graduation? Like, are you actually going to be able to graduate? Or you're getting your major? People are making college decisions now without visiting. It used to be you visited, you met with the coach, you talked to academic people. I mean, these guys are making decisions like in a day or two based off whoever gives them the most money without even having seen the campus. Like, they don't even know where they're living, any of that stuff. And so, but I do think it's a reflection of the current environment. And I am all for freedom for the players. I feel like they should be able to go where they want to go. I'm hoping we get some more guardrails on it, like whether it's the timing. Like, I don't like the transfer portals open during the NCAA tournament. Yeah. And these guys are trying to win a national championship, and they're trying to recruit out of the transfer portal at the same time. Like, that doesn't seem right. But at the same time, if you wait too long, it's going to be hard to enroll for summer school. And that's a big part of why the portal is where it is now. They want to be able to transfer and enroll in summer school. And so, anyway, that's more than you want to know. But there's a lot to it, I think. And I think it's going to be continuing to change. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward.
Sure. Yeah, that was some great insight on the transfer portal because, I mean, it's a lot of coaches like Nick Saban. He talked about it, like how nasty it is, basically, how he doesn't like it, and really kind of one of the main reasons why he retired.
Yes. So. And there are stories. I mean, you go out recruiting and you talk to other coaches, especially at the Division I level, the stories that they get and the handlers, and a lot of these programs are hiring general managers now. Yeah. There's one guy that I know that's a general manager for a Power 5 team. He doesn't even work on campus. He just works remotely, but all his job is talking to agents, talking to handlers, they basically have a salary cap that they can spend for basketball and trying to figure out how to build the best team in that salary cap. So it's literally like, you play NBA 2K franchise, like that's what this is in college athletics, like trying to do the salary cap and figure out what their team's going to look like. So it's a lot different. Well, I think we're fortunately somewhat insulated from that at our level, but it's starting to trickle down some. And it's making it a lot harder. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, this transfer portal stuff is crazy. But my next question for you is, Coach, do you think with the 15 out of the team's 28 games being on the road this year contributed to the team record? And can you kind of talk about the difficulty of playing so many games on the road consecutively that y'all had this season?
It was hard. Our conference schedule was unique. We were front loaded on the home games and then had a lot of away games later on. Yeah. But I think if you want to be really good in college basketball, you find a way to win on the road. I think it's just the guys in this locker room. It's hard. The officiating is normally different, especially where all we have to go geographically. But those are all excuses, right? Like the long travel, the long bus, that kind of stuff. Basketball is different than other sports because we play everybody twice every season. So, a lot of our sports might only go to Belhaven even once every other year. We go every year. We go every year to Asbury, Kentucky. And we want to try to play road games in the non-conference to prepare us for league play. That's what it's about. And so, it definitely was a tougher schedule this year for the road side, but I thought that's what this team needed. We wanted to figure out what we were early on the road, and because we knew that was going to be really important in league play. But yeah, it's hard to win on the road. You see it all the time, right? Like we see it in Division I basketball on TV, and we see it in our league as well. Like it takes a special group to go on the road and find a way to win, and that's what we want to be in this locker room. And we're going to continue to challenge ourselves that way, and we've got to figure out how to be a little bit better on the road.
Yeah. What would you say you learned about yourself and the team this season, and how do you and Coach Hausauer plan on bouncing back next year?
Coach Hausauer was awesome. We haven't had a chance to talk about him, but that was something else that was different. He came in July, and so we had some transition in our support staff this year, which was different. Coach Hausauer being one of them. It's hard. You come in as a new coach, you got to try to build relationships with all these guys. You want them to be genuine, but you're trying to speed up that process. And I thought he did a great job of just latching on to the values of our program, being able to work with guys, get in the gym with guys, being available is a big part of that role. And so. I think he's going to be even better next year as he continues to get comfortable and do things. But that was really good. We had some other transition. Coach Delph, our strength coach, left at Christmas. Gabby's, who's been a great athletic trainer for us, left at Christmas. And those things matter, and those people were great for our program, and they got awesome opportunities. We're so happy for them to continue to move on professionally in what they want to do. But for us here, that's hard, right? Coach Delph's poured into our program, been really good. Gabby was great and is an extension of our coaching staff. And so we had that transition here too. And so I think for me, it was, I want to continue to grow and help, and we get new people in those positions, acclimate them so they can help our program as quickly as possible. But we're very fortunate here to have that support. We work really well with our women's program here too. We have a great relationship with them, and we're able to bounce ideas as a staff off each other and do those things. And so that's a value of Piedmont. But I'm excited, for the future where we can get some stability in those positions. And Coach Hausauer in year 2 especially, he did a great job this year. He's going to be even better next year.
Yeah, Coach Hausauer, he's really young, so I feel like he did great as well. The guys speak highly of him as well too.
Yeah.
Just the benefit and impact that he had on y'all this season, even though the season didn't go as but he was amazing.
No, and we had a lot of questions this season, right? It could have been a lot worse, and we obviously wanted a lot better. But we had graduated 4 starters from the year before. We had graduated 13 guys in the last 3 years, so that's a big chunk for basketball. And so, but those guys to fill in those roles and do what they did and rise to the occasion. We had some really good wins. Didn't finish how we wanted on the back half of the season. I thought our league was as good as it's ever been since I've been here. We had 3 top 100 teams in the country, 2 in the top 50, which we've never had before. But the frustrating thing is we weren't getting beat by 20. It was we were right there multiple times. And so it's hard to be let's blow it up and do something different. You're losing by 20 or 25. You're going to be we got to shake this thing up. But when you're one possession here, you miss a couple free throws here, you get buzzer beat the next night, you have a 3 to win this game, right? You get a questionable we get a questionable illegal screen call in the conference tournament with a minute to go. It's all these small things is you don't want to blow it up because you're right there knocking on the door. And so the next step is for us to bust through that door. And obviously Coach Hausauer is a big part of that. And these guys coming back and putting the work in is going to set us up to do that.
Right. Coach, we talked about earlier, a lot of production coming back. You got Dylan Patrick, Javi Marlowe.
Yeah.
You got a lot of players, even Israel Hall coming back. So with that being said, what do you want to see out of those returners as this next season approaches? I think we just got to continue to mature, and we've got to continue to define our leadership, right? This is the best teams I've ever been a part of are driven by the player-led leadership, that urgency from it. And I expect us to have that urgency and edge. Those guys went through a lot this year. We talked about the hardships and some of the good things we did too. And so that's all got to be advantage Piedmont, right? So those guys growing from those things. So we get in those tight games again, we have reference points to lean on to go overcome and win those games. We talked about we would have played at Belhaven this past year. Most of our guys had never been to Belhaven before. They never played a game there before, right? Those aren't excuses anymore. We've been to these places. We know what we need to do to win. And so I think it's a really important offseason. We want to get a little bit stronger. We want our skills to grow and do those things. But I want our leadership to be better.
not that it was bad this past season, but to take the next step, right? To be championship level in everything that we do. And Coach Hochauer and I can talk about it till we're blue in the face. We can stress it or whatever. It's not going to matter unless we buy in and take ownership every single day. And that's a really hard thing to do. But I think this group is capable of doing that. And that's what gives us hope and encouragement.
Last question on the sports side, Coach. Can you give me a day in the life as a head coach for Piedmont men's basketball on a game day? Let's say it's a home game.
On game day, yeah. So game days are good. Like, so if it's a home game, we normally, for basketball, right, we'll have a shoot around or a film session. We'll have that part of it. Okay. But by the time we get to game days are actually kind of nice because all the film and prep work, all the stuff we've done leading in, we still do some of that on game day, but that's more just my compulsiveness, I guess, just to want to, like, we might watch some extra end of game plays or baseline out of bounds plays. We always do our game prep. So we have a game card that just has all of our calls on it. Which ones do we like for this game? What is our emphasis for this one? And then, it might be Coach Hochauer might shoot with some guys in the gym. It just kind of varies day to day. But for the individual home games, like that's kind of the routine. And then we'll come watch film. We'll do shoot around. I normally run home and try to eat dinner with my family before coming back up to the game. Right. And just get a chance to get an hour away from it or whatever. The waiting is the worst part, though. I'll tell you, like, the waiting is we joke with other coaches, like, the game day waiting, like, we'd rather play at 10 a.m. and get it over with, 10 a.m. Like, just because you're waiting all day, the anticipation, you put all this prep in, you've got, just like some nervous energy, right? Like, even though we're not out there playing, like, it's just, you put all this into it and you're just ready to see where you're at and go play. And, but you're waiting all day, and all this kind of stuff. So you try to distract yourself, we try to do some office work during the day too. But we try not to jump ahead in the scouts because we want our mind to be like, if we're playing LaGrange, just LaGrange. So if we have Huntington the next game, like, I don't like watching Huntington until LaGrange is done. And so we'll watch some extra clips and do some of those things. But yeah, it's the waiting's the worst part, man. You just want to go play.
Yeah, because I talked to Coach Rayburn last week. I interviewed her, and she's competition cheer coach, of course, for people who don't know out there. Yeah. But they talked about, like, the waiting was the worst part for them, like the anxiousness and anxiety they have before they go out on the mat or whatever they are at. And then, like, a big audience is out there waiting for them. There's bright lights on top of them. And, like, it's just dark in the back where the audience is. And they just, like, just nervous watching another team out there performing and get caught up. So.
No doubt. It matters a lot, right? So, like, you're going to have some nerves and that kind of stuff because it matters a lot. Like, we do all this stuff. We work, all these days throughout the year for essentially 28 nights, like you talked about, right? And so we talk a lot as a team about we don't want to waste any of those nights, all the conditioning, all the weight room stuff, the recruiting that Coach and I do, right? Like, all this planning, all the film watching. It comes down to those 28 nights. And so you get those opportunities. So those nights matter a whole lot. And so you get some nervous energy and you get some excitement or anticipation. But yeah, when you're playing at 7:30 at night, it's a long day to get to 7:30 at night. You're just ready to play and get after it.
Yeah, because sometimes I even got the girls playing before you.
Yeah. Which helps some because at least there's a little bit of distraction, right? Like, and it helps the atmosphere. And we love the doubleheader days. I just think it creates a good atmosphere in here, and it's fun to be able to have a collective event where there's two games, not just one.
Yeah. On to mental side questions, though, Coach. My first question for you is: do you feel like mental health is important in the sports world, and why?
100%. And I think sometimes we feel not qualified enough to help with that. I think, we've seen studies, and the NCAA shares some studies that, college athletes are some of the like one of the greatest anxious groups among people in America, right? Like, because of so many things going on, you're getting pulled all these different directions. It's your first time away from home, and you've got class responsibilities that I'm telling you to go lift at this time and come to practice at this time and get extra work in. And then people at home are asking, well, why aren't you playing as much as you should? And you just get pulled all these different directions. You're trying to figure out life. And so, but that's also what makes college good. And it's your chance to grow and develop and set you up, build those habits for the rest of your life. But I think mental health is so important. And it's something that I think is an emphasis. We try to make an emphasis in our program and just letting guys know that they don't have to go through stuff alone, that there are resources to help. And if it's not Coach Hochauer, it's not myself. We have the counseling services here on campus. We have a character coach who works with our team. Like there is always somebody to talk to, and there are people that are willing to help. But no, I mean, I worry about it a lot for our guys. We try to talk to them about it, that it's natural, but it doesn't make it any easier. But it's a real thing, and it is something that I hope we can continue to get better at and helping our guys work through.
Yeah, this question I was really interested in knowing because I have a roommate who's Dylan, he's or whatever, and just seeing him after some of these games, I could tell in his face how he was taking it. But this past season, there were a couple hard losses, such as the game winners by, like you said, Covenant and Maryville. What tactic as a coach do you do to keep your players fresh mentally after tough losses like that?
It's hard. I mean, it's hard. You mentioned Dylan, because it matters a lot. And I want them to hurt, right? We should hurt. If we don't hurt after a loss, we've got bigger issues, we should. But there's two responses to it, right? We can let it linger and woe is me and not respond, or we can let it fuel us for the next one to want it even more. And we don't understand why things happen. I believe things happen for a reason, but we don't understand why things happen all the time. But we can control our response to that, and that's what I want to see. And I think it speaks to the character of the guys in this locker room, like we mentioned earlier, that they did respond the right way to that. You get buzzer beat, by Maryville, who's leading the league, and you feel like you're going to win the game. Well, what is our response the next day? We better practice like somebody who this still matters to, and we want it to fuel us to go try to make it right, as opposed to sulking and woe is me and why did this happen, all that kind of stuff. It's literally like taking out the trash, right? We put it in the trash can, it's gone forever, and I'm never going to see it again. Right. And that's what I want it to be, and I want our self-talk to be right. I want our belief to still be there. The film doesn't lie. We talk about that too. The film doesn't lie. We can go back and look at that Maryville game and be like, yeah, we lost at the buzzer, but we had 10 other opportunities where it didn't have to come down to the buzzer. Yeah. And that's what we want it to be. We want it to be about growth, and we try not to get caught up in the result if we can. We want it to be about the process and just us doing what we know is right every single day. My hurt is that when these guys do everything we ask them to do and they do it as hard as they possibly can and they don't get that result, that's the hurt for us. I wanted that for Dylan, right? I wanted that for these guys in the locker room to go beat the number one team in the league. We were ready for that game. We played well. We just couldn't finish it at the end. And so our hurt comes from wanting it for our guys to get that reward. But we really want to focus on the response to that adversity and making sure we're responding right and letting it fuel us to what's coming next.
Coach, my next question is, can you tell the viewers and I the mental toll being a coach can have on you?
I think it's just, we are so blessed to be coaches, right? Our problems are a lot lesser than other people's problems that have worse jobs than this. We wake up and are excited about the challenge each day, right? To try to figure this thing out, to try to cut down a net. Who fits in our program? How do we help this guy be better in the classroom? How do we get this guy motivated to do more, right? There are so many worse jobs out there. We are very fortunate and blessed to do what we do. I think the challenge just comes from the stuff that we talked about earlier. You cannot let it go. And when somebody's struggling through something, or somebody, you can't get somebody out of a rut, and you're like, do I want to talk to this guy today, or do I just want to let it be, right? You're just constantly trying to figure out ways to fix it. As coaches, we are people that want to fix things. Yeah. And so you're always on trying to figure out, how do we fix this? How do we make this better? How do we do these things? I think that's the biggest challenge. You don't get to let it go. It's hard. You'll go home. We lose to Maryville, and I go home, and I want to let that go. I want to be present. And it's easy to say that in theory, but it is hard. You don't sleep at night. You feel like you want to physically throw up, those things, but, and that's because you hurt for the guys in here. You want them to get that reward and have that experience of winning those kind of games. And so, but no, we are very fortunate and blessed to be coaches, to be, entrusted in these positions with other people's kids and to try to have an impact on their life. So we're very, very blessed.
Yeah. My next question is, what makes having confidence an important factor being an athlete? I specifically wanted to ask you this question because when I interviewed Izzy and Art, specifically Izzy, he kind of talked about on the pod how his confidence kind of dwindled down as the season went on. He talked about going from averaging 11 or something like that to averaging 8. So I just want to know, like, what makes having confidence an important factor to have?
It is so important, right? Like we're in the weight room right now, working hard. And we were talking to we have a new strength coach, and I was talking to him. I said, the weight room like is good, right? Like we want to get stronger, we want to get faster. But the number one thing that we as a program want to see from the weight room is the confidence that comes from that. Like I want our guys to feel stronger and more explosive. So when Israel goes down the lane, like it doesn't have to be a finesse finish. Like I'm going to finish through you because I put the work in to do that. Like I am stronger and more physical. And so the confidence that comes through that, and it is hard. Like you can do everything right, get a wide open shot and just not go in, or you just not having free throws, not making free throws or whatever that is. And, but we want to try to get that confidence back. I think you get that confidence back through the work. And just we talk about having positive self-talk and want to do those things, but it's hard in our sport, right? Like if you're struggling, there aren't opportunities where we're blowing somebody out by 30 points to be like, well, just go run in there and figure it out, right? You're trying to figure it out on the fly. And so through film and through practice and through outside work and doing those things, we want to try to build that confidence back. Sure. But it is super important. It's a priority. And we as coaches want to try to do everything we can to try to build that confidence. But ultimately, it's internally belief in the work you put in and belief in yourself. And the off season is a really good time for that, right? Like, I mean, you earn the right to be confident, and that's what we're hopefully building here in the off season.
Yeah. Last question on the side, Coach. Yeah. Do you think the sport of basketball has helped shape or grow you as a person? The connections and the relationships through the sport of basketball are second to none. The way you can connect with other people, I mean, it's just very grateful to it, right? Like, and we've talked about the sport of basketball, but for me, basketball is so much more than that, and it's the relationships we've been able to build, whether it's the student athletes that have come through this locker room, whether it's other coaches or community connection or whatever. Like everybody can talk basketball, pretty much, right? Like, I mean, everybody can talk basketball. Just about.
Yeah, no doubt. And just to see, like, even guys in here that have gotten jobs, and it's through basketball, right? Like you sit with somebody who's trying to hire you and they want to talk basketball, right? Like then they'll get to the job part, but they want to talk basketball first. And so that's cool. I always go back, my dad, worked his first job he got. He did not get a college education and was really struggling to find a job. And his first job he got was because of basketball. They asked him to take the job so he could be on the company basketball team. And now he's high up in management there and has been super successful without a college degree. But he talks about that. He's like, my first job I got was because of basketball. Because I'm out playing in the park and some guy's like, hey, we need one more guy for our basketball team and we're hiring. You want to come play on the company basketball team? And that got him a job there. And it's like basketball opens doors. It creates relationships. And it's the best. And we're very fortunate to be around it every day.
Yeah, that's real. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out, Pops. That's actually a crazy story.
It's a cool story. It's a cool story. Yeah, it's awesome.
On to the burner questions, though, Coach. My first question is: has there been any crazy experiences you've witnessed personally as a coach?
Crazy experiences. Well, I coached JUCO for 2 years, so you see some crazy stuff in the junior colleges. We were playing a JUCO game in Lansing, Michigan. I'll never forget. We're up there, and halfway through the second half, there's about 15 kids that come spilled on the court, and there's a fight that happened in the stands that spilled onto the court. Right. No security there, but their coach was a 6'7" player that played at, I think he played at Michigan or Michigan State. So he went out there, separated the whole fight himself. He emptied the gym himself, and we finished the game. And that's so, we had a game spill in. But yeah, you get around this thing long enough, you see some crazy stuff. Whether it's, full court shots to win or lose a game. We had the Trey Gaines shot here when he was here. He had a half court shot to beat Maryville, which was awesome. Then unfortunately 2 years later, we went on the road and got beat by a half court shot. So it all evens out over time. But no, the one when we coached junior college and we had a fight spill on the court during the game and was quite an experience for sure.
No, that's actually crazy. My next question is, who's the most wild or funny person on the team?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm looking around the locker room too. We've got some funny guys on this team. Some dry humor, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm looking around. Preston's pretty funny. Some of these younger guys are in their own ways. Jackson's a little different too. He's funny too in a good way. Like I like being around him. He's got some joy to him. Yeah. We've got a different group. Art can be funny too. Yeah, there's a different. Silas has got some fun. We've got unique, different personalities. What I appreciate about these guys is they really get along well off the court. Like we spend so much time together on the bus, in the hotel, doing all that kind of stuff. And they're sit with different people every time we go eat someplace. They're hanging out with different people on the team, right? It's not cliquey, like they have good relationships. And I really appreciate that about this group. That's not the case always. Yeah. And these guys make an effort to do that. But it depends on the day. They got some funny guys, though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Next question. Favorite music artist currently or all time?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Wow. So right now, my kids, so we do more Christian music stuff, and we are all about, there's a guy named Forrest Frank. I don't know if you know who that is or not.
Yeah, I know
you look to see, but he, that's every time I take my daughter to school, that is what is on Spotify. And so that's what's playing in my house all the time. He's got a good, you look him up if you've never heard of him. It's good. His name's Forrest Frank.
Coach, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where are you traveling to?
Man, these are good questions. I'm not a big international guy. Really? I've never gone international. Oh, wow. I don't know if I have it. I probably do it one time and I'd want to, but I have never been to one of my old assistants, Coach Dan McNeely. He was the head coach at Maine Maritime Academy. Now he's not there anymore. He's at a Division II in Ohio. But he coached in Maine for a while, and I never got to go up and see Maine, and do that stuff. So for me, I would like to hit all the national parks. I've never been to Grand Canyon. I've never been to Maine. I've never been to some of that stuff in the West Coast. And so I would love to be able to take a trip and hit all those for sure. Okay. My kids got to get a little bigger though. They, I don't think they can make it. They couldn't climb the mountains or do that kind of stuff. They get a little bigger, we'll be able to do that stuff.
So in state.
So what about you?
Me, I've always said Belize or maybe Turks.
Okay.
Yeah, I've traveled to Africa before, so I've seen the beautiful parts of Africa. So, people always give me Italy or Greece. That's so simple. I want to know the place I've never heard before. I actually heard Switzerland a couple episodes.
Really? See, I like driving too. So if I were to do something like that, I would want to rent a car and drive these places and stop along the way. Guy. So I'm more a road trip guy. Yes. No doubt.
If you're going to a gas station for snacks, what 3 items are you walking out with?
Oh, so see, we try as much as we can when we win a road game. We try to stop at a truck stop and try to let them get candy, do that kind of stuff. So I'm like a little kid with this stuff. I like the gummy clusters. I got tried those. The little nerd. I like that kind of stuff.
Pink bag.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
Coach. We talking, Coach.
You like that? I'm not a big fan of the blue bag. I tried the blue bag. I didn't like as much as the pink bag.
Blue bag. It can't compare with the pink.
My kids had some. They did a special for football season. I don't know if you saw those. Those were pretty good too. They're blue and white. Those weren't bad either. But I'm like a little kid in this stuff. So I like those. I like dark chocolate stuff too. I used to do any of that gummy kind of stuff, which I know is bad for your teeth and very bad for your health as you're getting old like me. But it's I'm going for that kind of stuff for sure. Yeah.
Nerd clusters. That's an amazing choice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Coach, this is my last question as far as burners. If you could look back and give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Look back on your younger self and give yourself some advice. You just always stay true to what you know is right? Don't worry about the outside. If you're going to be a head coach, you're going to make people upset. Sure. You don't realize it until you have kids of your own, right? I think you become a better coach when you have kids of your own. Coach Purdy used to tell me this a lot too, before I had kids. It's just when you have kids, you look at it in a different light, right? You're every single guy in this locker room is someone's kid. And so when you're dealing with parents that are upset or whatever, right? They just care about their kid. They love their kid. They want to see what's best for their kid. And so, but when you have your own kids and you start looking at the locker room, you're this is someone's kid. And so you want to treat that person that way and try to help them in that way. Right. And just be if my child was sitting in this locker room and they had an issue and they came to their coach, how would I want their coach to respond? Right. And you want to try to respond that way too. And so I would just really reiterate that, and that, every student athlete is someone's child, and you want to treat them that way. Even though ours are young men in here and they're over 18 years old and that kind of stuff, there are people that care about that.
I did sail this past summer, and I actually got nominated to do it again. So thank you, Ms. Dyer. Awesome. I did sail as a navigator this past year. Yeah. And, I always told my voyagers or whatever before I left the cabins, let's be great today. It's some type of motivation or pick me up before you left the cabins. So if you could look in the camera, I'm gonna say it with you on 3. So let's be great today. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's be great today. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Coach.
Good.
Appreciate
Yes, sir.
it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for
man.
having me. It's been fun.
Yes, sir. All right, Latte family, that is the end of the Coach Greg Neeley episode, but y'all stay tuned because Wednesday I have Piedmont men's lacrosse players Eric Fool and Liz and Will Isley coming on the pod. So like I always say, y'all stay tuned and let's be great today. Y'all have a blessed Tuesday, man.